Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming here or joining online to this Sunday service. My name is Norio Suzuki, the head minister of this temple. First, we will recite together prayer to the Lord. Prayer to the Lord. Lord Elkantar, you are the source of all right, all power, all wisdom, and all love. May you give us light, give us power, give us wisdom, and give us love. O Lord, our Father, please protect this planet, love Earth, protect us from all evil, and open a future for us. O Lord, thank you for giving us light. We give thanks from the bottom of our hearts. Okay, we are reviewing from Master Ryuho Oka's early lectures from 1987. The first one was the first principle of happiness. And now today is a sixth one, which is given in January of 1988. The title was Principle of Wisdom. Okay. Before entering the contents, I'd like to introduce Master's teaching, some of Master's teaching related to today's theme. It is from the Guide for the Mind, number 77, which is in this book, The Laws of Wisdom, page 22, okay? Information, knowledge, wisdom. Information is data which is constantly being collected by your brain through your eyes and ears. Information can be accumulated or processed. When information develops to the level where you can use it, or when it becomes academic ability or useful skills at work, it serves as knowledge. Knowledge is power. Possessing the knowledge that is necessary and being able to use it when needed is a vital skill and a weapon for surviving in modern society. However, there is something more important, which is wisdom. When knowledge is deepened through experience and reached a level where it can enrich a person's views on life, serving as words of guidance for enlightenment, that is called wisdom. Wisdom is born when knowledge is filtered through good and evil. It is crystallized during deep reflection and meditation. It closely resembles that inspiration that comes down from one corner of heaven. So information, knowledge, wisdom, it looks like similar, but it's different. Information is kind of scattered thing, data, that is inventory exists. But the knowledge is kind of organized thing, and that can be used to solve real problems like that. And when it comes to wisdom, it becomes deeper and deeper, and it deepens our perspective on life and the world. So the wisdom is the most important, precious. And for these things, okay, I add another thing is that, okay, you see, Peter Drucker upper side and Master Okawa in the lower side. Peter Drucker, okay, told us that this is a knowledge-based society. Today's world is knowledge-based society. Okay, everything is important. Everything is consists of knowledge. Before that, we used steel, oil, money. These things are important resources to create things. But today's society is the knowledge is the most important resources to create new things. So we are called knowledge-based society. But Master Ryu Okawa advocate another. We are entering the age of wisdom. Wisdom is most valued. It creates the world that is very happy or prosperous world. So if this wisdom is shared with many, many people, it will become a kind of a utopia world. So knowledge is also important, but wisdom is much, much more important. Okay, today's lecture is rather long, and I divided it into 3 parts. First, I'd like to show the first part of the master lecture.
Hello. Exactly a year has passed since last March 8th. Many things have happened since then. I haven't only been exploring the laws, but also been managing our group and dealing with various concerns of our staff, members, and readers. This position allows me to guide you as well as learn from you. During this time, I have contemplated the meaning of wisdom, the theme of today's lecture. We often use this word to describe the knowledge we gain from reading books or listening to others. Although wisdom is generally used interchangeably with learning, differences lie in the content and purity of wisdom, the scale of wisdom, and the effects of wisdom. I've been pondering, speaking about, and writing about all these things. Today, I'd like to focus on wisdom and speak about what I've been thinking about. Writing about and planning to write about. In the November 1987 edition of our monthly magazine, I wrote a short essay on the developmental stages of wisdom. In it, I briefly detailed how I've been confronting the theme of wisdom. In reality, I've been working on this theme for the past 10 years. Although I had never imagined giving this kind of talk in front of an audience. I have constantly felt an internal desire to improve myself. How can I sublimate this passion burning within me? This is the question I've contemplated for a long time. I've searched for an answer by thinking and acting. In the world of ideas, wisdom, and experiences.
そこで
Therefore, I would like to explain how I have thought about wisdom
考え、どのように捉えてきたのか。これを実体験
and how I have perceived wisdom based on my own experiences.
これが
This is important because my experiences over the last 10
実
years
体験したことが今幸福の科学の指導の内容にも転化
are reflected in and have been incorporated into our training contents.
ないかと思うのであります。私は
I have repeatedly taught you that
修行というものを単に
modern spiritual discipline is not about simply meditating in the
他の
mountains
方ができないような超能力的なことに凝ることでもないという前提
or
を
obsessing over the desire for supernatural abilities.
したはずであります。しかし
Then, regardless of whether they are priests or lay believers,
出家と言わず在家のままで
what training methods do people today have?
歩んでいくためには一体どのような方法論があるのか。この方法論の
In finding this method, we need to consider the question
知という問題が
about spiritual discipline and wisdom.
であります。現代社会
In today's society, knowledge is highly valued in every walk of life,
世界であります。ただ、
but people are only concerned with the superficial aspects
本質を見抜いていない。また、
and framework of knowledge without understanding its true
だ
nature,
けがまかり通って、その本当の姿、本質、そして
its essence, or what lies at its
わからない
root.
ままに人々が生きているというのが現状であろうと思います。私は
In the last 10 years, I've identified what lies deep within knowledge.
あるものを突き止めたわけであります。そこに一体何があるのかということを探り当てたわけであります。それは
This means there is a method of spiritual discipline that is safe
少ない形での修行の
and suitable for people living today.
ことであります。その修行の方
If you
法
merely explore and gain knowledge to quote what others said,
誰がどう語っているということを知っておるという形での知の追求
you'll never discover the true blessing that knowledge can bring.
の部分は教えられることはないのでありますが、誰がどう
But for those who have seen into the great wisdom of humankind
人類の英知、人間の
and the depths of the human mind and what lies there,
見た人にとってはそれは非常に
great power can issue forth from knowledge.
この
Infinite power will well up once you reach this wellspring.
湧いてくるのであります。そしてその
The power of wisdom that gushes from the depths of this spring will serve
や
as
がて皆さんの人生の諸問題を怪盗乱
a
魔の
great falchion sword that enables you
大きな
to cut the Gordian knot and solve any difficulties in life.
のであります。私は
In the past year, I have read hundreds and thousands of letters from various people.
数百通、数千通読んでまいりましたが、この多く
My
の
first impression was that many of these
自
people
分の問題というもの、自分の
don't
悩みという
properly
もの
understand the problems they are facing.
まず最初の印象であります。自分自身が一体
They haven't grasped the
何を悩ん
problem
でいるのか、その悩みの正
and the
体を
exact nature of their problems.
次には
Next, they don't know how to solve them.
解決するための方策を知っていない。さらに
What's more, they also don't know how to turn their
その悩
problems
みをより良きもの、より高次なるもの、より善なる
into something greater or higher
幸福なる
that
も
will
のへ
lead them
と
to happiness.
上昇させていくための方法論を知らない。こうしたことを感じたわけであります。そこで
Then I realized the importance of having an intellectual
非
foundation.
常に大事であるということを実感したわけであります。これが
This realization led me to develop our current training methods.
おるわけであります。そこで
Let me tell you how I set up an intellectual
問題
foundation
を掘り下げる前に、私自
through
身
my experiences before delving deeper
確率についてしばらく
into the topic of wisdom as one aspect of the laws.
すでに
As mentioned in my short essay,
知恵の
I
あ
had a yearning for wisdom from a very early age.
ったように思います。それは
This yearning began during childhood but significantly
本
intensified
のごとく出てきたのは19
when I was 19 or 20 years old.
だかと思います。この
My passion for learning welled up in waves from deep
学
within
びたいと
me.
いう気持ちは心の奥底から次から次へと出てくるものであります。学びたい
During my youth, I was overwhelmingly passionate
学びを何かに使っていきたいという情熱、この2つの
about learning and using my knowledge for a higher purpose.
私の青春期を貫いていたものであったと思います。まだ
Unaware of my mission, my future work, or my destiny,
仕事を知らず、 天命を知らず生きていた
My
私
mind swayed, thinking about which path to take.
右に揺れ左に揺れしながら日々
But I devoted all my energy every day to develop myself.
わけであります。そしてその時
Looking back to those years, many of the books I unconsciously chose to read
選び取り読んでいった書物の多くは今
contain the words and thoughts of angels.
光の天使たちの思想であり言葉であったと思います。それを
I chose such books
サケと
instinctively,
いう魚が自分の生まれ故郷
like a salmon swimming upstream as it follows a scent back to its birthplace.
自然とそうしたものを嗅ぎ分けていたように思います。この時
In
に
those times, one of the basic attitudes I considered necessary and important was,
姿勢として貫くべきであると思った考え方の一つは
I will never think I understood something until I am fully convinced.
自分自
It's
身
the attitude of never thinking I understood something
納得がいく腑に落ちた
until I'm convinced of it in the deepest recesses of my
態
mind.
度であります。これが
Until I grasp it completely, I'll never stop studying or feel satisfied.
断じて学ぶ姿勢を失ってはならん。断じ
I've
て
been maintaining such an attitude.
姿勢を貫いてきたわけであります。そして
In
様
due
々な
course, I explored many different fields of thought and study.
だんだんに分け入ったわけであります。そして
including but not limited to literature, fine arts, science,
思想、
philosophy, religion, poetry, business management, law, politics,
法律、政治、経済、
economics, and international affairs.
いろんな領野に私は手を伸ばしてまいりました。そして
What is the
その
great
中に
wisdom of humankind?
ダイヤモンドの部分、光っている部分は一体何であるのか。人類の英
That
知として
continues to shine brightly like a diamond even today.
光を放っているものは一体何なのであるのか。これを
I ask myself these questions over and over
で
again.
あります。大
I
学に
considered becoming a scholar many times.
ことも何度もありましたが、
But one of the reasons I rejected this path was
一つは自分
my
の
mindset of not pursuing something unless I was fully convinced.
あったと思うのであります。この
Some
中
of you may be educators at universities.
おられると思いますが、今の
The academic world today seems to have its own set of rules,
一つのルール、規定
and scholars conduct research only within the framework of these rules.
というのが現状ではないでしょうか。それは
Max Weber's academic approach still dominates
学問態度というのが現
the
在
mainstream of modern research and
主
academics.
流をなしておるがために学問の方向が分析的
So the analytical approach and objectivity are valued.
なものを追求探求する形となっている。そして
Before presenting an original idea,
出す前には楽しみ
one is required to search, quote, and cite other people's ideas.
しなければならない。こういう
This restrictive world is where many scholars think and read.
いろんな学者がいろんなことを考え、また読んでおるわけであります。その世界
To me, the existing academic system appears like the inside of a kaleidoscope.
世界のように見えました。本当は
It has many tiny pieces of colored paper, but displays a very beautiful view.
折り紙のようなものでありますが、それが万華鏡を通すと非常に美しい世界のように見えるのであります。けれども、
But once you understand how kaleidoscopes work,
本当の花ではない。
you realize the flowers inside aren't real.
私自身
As I
は
explored everything to my heart's content,
自分の心の奥底から分かったと
and did so until I've understood it
こ
deeply,
ういう態度でやっていったところ、現在
most of the current academic fields were no longer a path for me.
姿を消していったわけであります。今
I've published many books of spiritual messages and truth.
書であるとかいろいろと出していますが、その中に
These contain very few citations of other people's ideas and
こういう
thoughts.
思想があるというような紹介は非常に少ない。この中に
My books only reveal what I've pondered,
私が
applied,
考え実験し、また試作して
and pondered again until I gained a complete understanding.
おるのであります。したがって
The spiritual messages contain many unique
展
teachings,
開されておりますが、その教
but
え
each of them has struck a chord in my heart
ぶち当たって
and radiated a bright light within me.
あるわけであります。すなわち
In other words, they reflected my own thoughts as well.
カンテラとカンテラが相照らし合って反応し合っている部分がすなわち私自身の思想でもあるわけであります。私
My
が
policy is to never talk about or publish things
納得いかず本当に知ったと 納得がいか
I
ない
don't feel I've completely understood or I'm not fully convinced of.
という方針を貫いておるわけであります。これが
I've explained in my first lecture that this is our starting point.
1年前にいたしました。今も
Now, in my lectures and books, I continue to hold to the policy of
私は決して自分が
never revealing more than 10% of what I've learned.
語るということはしないという方針を貫いています。残りの
I believe I must hold back the other 90% to confirm that it is
ど
true.
うかを確かめる部分であって、いつもこれを確保せねばならない。したがって、
As such, the more books I publish and the more lectures I
講
give,
演の数が多くなればなるほど、私自
the
身
more study and contemplation I need to do.
としての施策、これは増えていかねばならないものとなっているわけであります。なぜそういう
I take this approach because only what we grasp with our hearts
本当に頭だけを通さず、心でも
ultimately becomes true nourishment for our
実
souls.
際の魂の糧とはならんということなんです。
You've probably learned much at school or at
お
work.
られると思いますが、その中で学んだもののうち、死んでこの地
There
上を
is the knowledge you can and can't take with you to the other world after
持
death.
って帰れないものとがあるのです。持って帰
The
れない
things you
ものは
can't take with you are the things you see and hear in life but pass and fade with time.
心にま
When
で
you
達
die,
し
you
た
can
もの
only
の
take the
みが
knowledge
この地上を去ったときに持ち去る
that
ことが
reaches the very core of your soul and becomes a part of your character.
ということであります。したがって
Many people in society today live and work in the world of knowledge.
仕事をしておられる方々は現代社会においては数多いのでありますが、それを
But those who explore knowledge only within a world where words are mere
文字の
symbols
世界の中において探求している人たちはやがて
will
それ
soon
が
realize that such knowledge is no more than a veil or a
神にしか
mask.
過ぎないということを知るに至るわけであります。その奥に
Unless you know the true meaning behind the words, you won't gain true power,
力とはなってこないし、皆さん方
nor
が
take that knowledge with you to the other world.
ならないのであります。これは日本の
This isn't only about Japanese books, but all books.
今
Learning English and other languages is becoming more popular.
学習が盛んでありますけれども、この中
When
に
reading books written in other
読
languages,
んでおっても胸のま
I
で
can distinguish between those written in words that touch
そうでないものが
the very core of my heart and those that don't.
現在の
English used in journalism with so much vocabulary
大変な数であります。これを
is difficult to fully understand.
新聞
Sorting through and absorbing all the information
そうした中に溢れておる英語の
that
情報
floods
や
journalism is difficult.
処理し自分のものにすることは難しいかもしれないが、それらの情報
Most of it will simply fade without a trace.
左へと消えていく情報であるわけであります。ところが
There are, however, writings in simple English that touch the heart.
使わないでも心に響く英文というのはあります。例えば
Oscar Wilde uses simple words that can easily be understood,
非常に平易な言葉で書いている。私たちが
even by non-native speakers, and his works deeply touch my heart.
英文であっても心に食い入ってくる内容がある。何が
What makes this possible?
日本語で書いてなくても
It's inspiring even if it's written in English.
それは
This is because he uses plain English or Anglo-Saxon words
長
that stand the test of time,
人たちの間で大和言葉と
words
して
that have been in the English language for centuries.
書いている。その部分
In
が
this way, his works inspire even non-native English readers.
耳に響く言葉となってきておるのだろうと思います。今
I have published many books of spiritual messages,
霊言霊示集を世に問うておるわけでありますが、その内容
and I recommend that you read them
これは
because they are written in simple Japanese.
書いておるのであります。だからこ
They
そ
touch the hearts of many readers, even though the content is advanced.
多くの人の胸に食い入ってくるのであります。それは
These books are written in words that have been proven over time to have spirit dwelling in them.
魂が宿っていると確認した言葉でもって綴っているからであります。そうした言葉で綴っているのであります。内容はこう
I
で
write complex content in simple words.
なぜそういうふうにできるかという
I can write in this manner because I have never deceived
自分をごまかさない
myself.
という 姿勢で今まで生きてきたからであります。徹底
I
的に
thoroughly
納得が
explore
いくまで
everything until I understand it
納得のいかない部分
perfectly,
については決して分かったと言わない。そういう
so I can express what I have understood in a
自分の
simple
分かり得て
way,
いることを皆さんに大和言葉でもって分かりやすく
using easy Japanese
表すことが
words.
できるのであります。ここまで
To those who haven't pursued knowledge in this
掘り
way,
下げていない人にとっては知というもの
it
は
is like embellishments or an accessory.
虚飾であります。そうした言葉の羅列であり
It's
ます。
just a group of
こう
words.
した本が一体
You'll see that bookstores are packed with uninspiring
皆
books.
さん方は探されたらいいと思います。その中には
Many works don't reach the core of your soul.
それは表面的
These
な
authors aren't using words that come from their souls
記号的な言葉の羅列を求めているだけであって、その言葉
or
の
the depths of their minds,
魂の部分を使っていない。また著者
or
自
they
身
have
が
not discovered what lies deep within their minds.
理由によるのであります。このように
However, I
私は
only accept the
自分が
knowledge I fully
納得
understand.
Okay. The first point is the meaning of intellectual study. Intellectual study. What is the meaning of the intellectual study? Master told us it is a modern way of self-discipline for enlightenment. This is a way to become enlightened through learning the teaching of the great teachers or great people. We can learn their wisdom. So it is a way to become enlightenment. And that is a way to lead to the throes of wisdom. So through this way, we can learn how angels thinks or how God thinks. So through this teaching, learning method, we come to the realization of what God thinks or what angels thinks. So this is very, very important. So in order for that, we need to select good books, good materials. Okay, that's very important. Then, through this discipline, we can acquire power of wisdom that can solve our life problems. By acquiring wisdom, we can solve many kinds of life problems. That makes us happy, makes other people happy. So it is very, very precious thing. So we can have a peace of mind through wisdom. By acquiring wisdom, we can come near to enlightenment or nirvana in a way. Okay. The second point the master told us is intellectual honesty. Intellectual honesty. He didn't use this word, but I'll explain it. It is never think you understand something until you are fully convinced. Never think you understand something until you are fully convinced. This is the intellectual honesty. We sometimes think, oh, I understand that, but actually in the depths of our mind, we don't understand. So we pretend to understand something, or we deceive oneself. We deceive ourselves to understand something. Okay. So in that case, our intellectual power doesn't grow much. So it is very important to have this kind of attitude. And then get rid of vanity, embellishment, and identify the core ideas. When we read books, the book is kind of full of knowledge, full of theories like that. But we should be careful that which is a core part of the idea, which is a core idea. That is very, very important. Even though the embellishment or the book is well made, if the core idea is not mistaken, it is worthless. Even though the book must be very expensive, but it's worthless. Okay. And also try to convey your thought in a simple and plain words. If you really understand something, you can explain it in a very easy word, very simple word. That is a true understanding. So we can test that if we fully understand that or not when we try to explain it a simple language. Okay. Then accumulate true wisdom that resonate to your soul. Accumulate true wisdom that resonate to your soul. Okay. That true wisdom will be resonating your soul. These wisdom you can bring together to the next world. So unless it doesn't reach to our soul, we cannot carry that wisdom. So very, very important to fully understand the teaching or theory. Okay, I'd like to introduce some people. Mr. Shoichi Watanabe, who wrote The Intellectual Life. It became a very million seller in Japan in 1970s. And the Master Okawa himself read his books in his university days, and it affected him much. Mr. Watanabe advocated of the importance of intellectual honesty. He Master may have learned it from him. I also learned it from him. Also, he also advocated that it is very important to talk in a very simple and easy to understand words. To try check his theory is good or not. And this is Mr. Watanabe's actual habit is that when he come up with something, new idea, he tried to, in his meditation, try to explain it to his old mother in countryside. She was not so learned, so it is very difficult to explain her to a difficult language. So he must explain it in easy language. So when Mr. Watanabe tried to it into a kind of easy language, and in a meditation, in imagination, okay. So he know, oh, it can be good. It be good if she must have accept that. So it is a test whether we can explain it in a simple language or not. This is one example. Another example is Dr. Hajime Nakamura, a world-famous scholar of Indian philosophy, who wrote many books. He was revered by many Japanese and also in worldwide. He translated many Buddhist sutras and published great many books. But actually, after his death, he fell to the abysmal hell. Because in spite of those studies, meticulous studies, he didn't believe in the real world. There are many stories about the real world appears in the Buddhist scripture that he thought it was like a kind of a fiction, just an allegory to persuade people. So he didn't believe in spirituality. He didn't believe Buddha's enlightenment. So he only thought Shakyamuni Buddha is kind of a philosopher or something like that. That because of his mistaken thought, he was fell into the abysmal hell. So that it is very, very important. What is the core thought of someone? What is the core thought? So there are many. So this person, Hajime Nakamura, wrote many books. But in spite of that, it was nothing or minus because he fell into he fell down to the hell. So, okay, this is very important. You must think which is a core thought of him or myself. Okay. Now we enter the second part of Master Lecture.
次に
Next, I'd like to talk about the meaning of seeking wisdom.
語っておきたいと思います。何故に
Why is it necessary to learn different
様々なことがある
things?
のかということであります。 これは
Learning is closely related to the reason we've been given eternal
生
life.
きておることの意味そのものにも関わってくるのであります。
We must first realize that learning is a path given to us by God.
一つの方向であるということをまず知らねばならんということであります。
If learning were meaningless, then the fact that we repeatedly
私
reincarnate
たちが永遠の生命を持って幾千
over
年
thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions of years would also be meaningless.
何の意味もないのであります。そこに
The basic premise
基本的な立脚
is
点があるのです。神は
that God
私たちに
values the
学ぶ
act
と
of
いうことで
learning.
もって意味があると認めておられるということです。その
So
学
what
ぶということに
significance
意味
does
が
God see in
どういう
learning?
ふうに意味があると捉えているかということ。これを
We can find the answer in the discovery of our individual
と
characters.
いうことであります。それぞれ
The
の人
secret
間が
lies in the fact that each one of us is learning as unique individuals.
この中に一つの秘密があるということであります。それは
Each individual is an artwork of God's light and
また雨の降った
is brilliant, like a rainbow arching over in the
よう
sky.
な輝きでもあります。そうし
A
た
supreme being
様々な
exists
光の芸術
who deems it
を
wonderful
持って良し
to
と思っ
create
て
this
おられる
artistic
方が
diversity of light.
それは
It means each individual soul with its own tendencies and
それぞれ
personality
の性格、それぞれの魂の傾向を持ちながら、その立場で
is expected to learn under the circumstances it is placed in.
意味しているのであります。私たちは
Why
な
are
ぜ
we required to learn
それを
so
ま
much?
ずに学びということを要求されておるのでしょうか。それが素晴らしい
Why is learning
ことだ
considered
と言われ
good?
ておるのでしょうか。これ
We
を
need
また
to consider these questions in the context of everyday life.
置き直して考えてみる必要があると思うのであります。
Now, I would like you to ask yourself,
皆さんは一体何故に今日ここに来られたか。これを
why are you attending this lecture?
通ってほしいと思うのです。何故に来たか。一体何故に。これを自分の
Can you come up with a clear answer?
素直に言葉が返ってくるでしょうか。返事が来るでしょうか。ここのところが
This is indeed
問
important.
題になるわけであります。それは
Everyone is given problems to solve in his or her own unique
課題を
circumstances.
与えられているわけでありますが、その課題
Based on the
は
premise that you solve these problems on your own,
ならんという前提があるからであります。
people may
皆さん
give you
の悩みを
advice,
相談に乗ってくれる人は探せばいるわけでありますが、結局のとこ
but
ろ
in the end,
自分自身
no
の
one
問
except
題
you
に
can solve your
決着をつ
problems.
けるのは皆さん方ご自身であります。ご自身
You
が
have to do it yourself.
今日来られた
I doubt there is anyone who has no worries or
心
problems.
の中に悩み事がない問題がないという方はおそらく一人もいらっしゃらないでしょう。何ら
I
かの
bet you are all
形でそれを
trying
解
to
決し
solve your problems
さら
in
に
some way
人生の発展への礎
and
に
use
成
them
長
as a
しているのでは
springboard to further improve your life.
おそらくそうであろうと思います。そして
Perhaps you expect to find some clues in my lectures on how to solve your
ヒン
problems.
トがあるのではないかと考えているのではないでしょうか。おそらくそうであろうと思います。ここに
Here lies the starting point of
原
learning.
点が実はあるわけであります。つまり
People are always looking for clues to better their life.
人生のヒントを探しているということであります。問題は自
We
分
must
自身
solve
で
our
解決してい
problems
か
on
な
our
ければ
own,
ならないわけ
but
だ
the
けど、
clues can be found all
そ
around
のヒ
us.
ントは各所に散らばっておるわけであります。またその
Both people who are living now
与え
and
ている人が現在にもいるし、また
writers who lived in the past can give us these clues.
人々の中にもいるということであります。すなわち
Therefore, we are learning to find the clues to help us solve our problems
人
in
生の
life.
問題を解くためのヒントを探しておるということであります。こうした
This means
方法
God has
が
given us a method to follow.
与えられているということです。自分
He
の
expects us to complete our unique workbook on our own,
しかしながら参考
but
に
He
は
has also provided us with a reference book to consult.
こういう仕組みとなっておるわけであります。そして至るところに
Moreover, we can meet our teachers of life or people who give us clues at the right
そ
time.
うした教師となっておる方でなくとも、家庭の中において、またいろんな
This may happen at home or elsewhere.
時々に皆さんにヒントを与えてくださる方がいます。それらの方は
They are all our mentors or teachers at that given time.
先生であります。
So finding clues to help solve our problems is the starting point of learning.
では、ヒント
What will happen once we have found the clues to help us solve our problems?
ヒントを得てどうなるのか。
What will be the result of collecting these
結
clues?
果は一体いかなることとなるのか。私
This
た
is
ち
the
は
next point we need to consider.
ならんわけであります。
You've gained clues from reading various
読む
books.
ことによって得る。
Now
その
what?
結果はどうなるのか。その
If
結
the
果、
varying
いろんな人
opinions
の
of different people only further confuse
言わされ
you,
るだけの皆さんとなったのでは、それ
then the
は
results will not be
結果を
good.
生まないのは当然のことであります。いろんなヒント
Your aim through learning
そこで皆さんが本当は得ようとしておるものは、
is to attain greater insight.
より高次な認識というべきものであります。
The secret to living a happy, productive, and noble life
幸福に、そして発展的に、より高邁な生き方で過ごしていける秘訣は、この
is having a high level of insight.
言葉に帰結するのであります。
Having greater insight means
人生の問題を
you attain the key to solving various problems in your life.
鍵を手に入れたことと同じであります。
As adults, we can easily find solutions to the problems children face
答えられないわけがありません。
or the problems of
答え
teenagers,
られないわけがありません。
but it's difficult to solve the
自分たち
problems
と同じような境遇にあったり、
of
同
those
じよう
in
な立場にある
situations and
人たち
positions
が悩み事を
similar to your own.
できる
Why?
のでいるのです。
It's because there's no difference in the level of insight.
に差がないからであります。
People who have a higher standpoint can easily solve the problems of those at a lower level. That's why people seek teachers. Teachers have a higher level of insight, so they can understand the causes of the person's problem, find ways to solve it, and discern similar patterns other people might have experienced in the past.
過去にもあったのではないのか。こうしたことを知っている。
Those who understand the patterns can swiftly point out
見抜いておる人から見れば、
why someone has a problem and why they are unable to solve it.
これをごく短時間でもって教えることができるのです。
However, if you are trapped in a whirlpool of suffering,
悩みの渦中にあって、
and it seems like a matter of life or
試
death,
験抜刀している人にとっては、
you wouldn't be able to see why you've encountered such trouble.
大困難が降りかかってくるのかということがどうしてもわからないのであります。
Let me explain using the example of a hen.
鶏の例を出して言うこともできるかと思います。
Hens are apparently easily captive to their own
わかり
imagination.
やすいそうであります。
If a hen is tied up with a rope and then set free, the moment she sees anything long like a rope,
紐のようなものを見ただけでも
she will freeze as if she were tied up again.
動けないでいるということであります。それは
This illustrates how low the hen's insight is. Because of her memory of being tied up,
一度自分が縛られたという経験がある。
seeing a rope can make her feel like she can't
ま
move,
た自分が動けなくなると感じるわけであります。
and it actually makes her freeze.
私たちは
We'd feel pity for such a hen.
非常に哀れに見えるわけでありますが、その
It all comes down to the difference in the level of insight.
その一点に尽きるわけであります。また
A similar story from Algeria tells a story about how to catch a monkey with a coconut.
猿を捕らえる時の方法論があります。ヤシの木
You carve a hole in the coconut so that it's just big enough to fit a monkey's
ヤシの
hand.
実をくり抜いておいて、手が入るだけの大きさに穴を開けておく。その
Put in
中に
some rice and hang it from a tree. The monkey will stick its hand into the coconut
そして
and try to grab the rice inside. But if it grabs the rice, it will not be able to pull out its closed fist.
そのヤシの実から手を抜くことはできない。しか
If
し、
it lets go of the rice, it can be free.
逃れることはできるのです。
But the monkey doesn't have enough
それだ
insight.
けの認識がないんです。
The monkey knows it's trapped.
この認識はある。
but has no idea of how to be free. Thus, on the following morning, it's easily captured. Despite struggling to escape, it doesn't think to let go of the rice. The monkey doesn't have the insight to reconcile its two desires, the desire for rice and the desire to be free. What if this were you? If you were trapped in the same way, you'd easily know that your fist is bigger than the whole, and you can be free by letting go of the rice. Because the monkey doesn't have such insight, it falls into a deadly trap. This is a tragedy for the monkey. The monkey just wanted food and tried to take it, but ended up falling into a life-threatening trap. Unable to escape, it suffers in agony until dawn. This is how we appear to the high spirits. We often suffer over trivial matters, just like this poor monkey, and can't see what the high spirits can easily see. But for those who are desperate, this is a big problem, and they have no clue about what to do. I like the writings of the French philosopher Alain. In his book on happiness, I discovered he was aware of some important truths. Let me give you a few examples from his book. A baby keeps crying loudly, and no one knows what to do. Parents wonder what's wrong. They wonder if he wants milk or if it's too cold or hot. In this way, the parents start to worry he might be sick, and eventually call a doctor, but the doctor finds nothing wrong. Parents keep wondering why the baby's crying loudly. The cause of the problem was simple: an open safety pin in the baby's garment. The baby was crying because the pin was pricking him. But the adults were oblivious and were worrying a great deal. They imagined many different scenarios. In a similar story from ancient Macedonia, there was an unruly horse no one could ride. People had difficulty handling it, and were looking for someone brave to tame it. Then one man solved it easily. He understood that the horse was violent because it feared its own shadow. He pulled the reins tightly so that the horse couldn't see its own shadow, and calmed the horse down. The others couldn't see the real cause, so they assumed the horse was violent by nature and was impossible to control with physical force. Actually, the horse was frightened by its own shadow. It couldn't understand what a shadow was. The more the horse struggled, the more its shadow danced, creating strange, terrifying patterns. The solution was not to remove the shadow, but to simply pull the reins tightly to keep the horse from looking down. Alain wrote such things. Most problems in life end up becoming big due to the lack of insight or ability to see the root cause of the problem. The truth is often very simple. It could be as simple as a pin in a garment or the fear of shadows. The causes of seemingly serious difficulties, including problems involving finance or business or problems of health or family,
こうしたものも実
may
は
also be very simple.
単純なところに原因があることがあるのです。
We could be overreacting without knowing this. First, we must find the pin or the shadow in our problem. To this end, we need to take a step back and view our problems from a higher perspective. Then we will discover an unexpected blind spot. Gaining greater insight is essential to see through these blind spots. This is learning. Those who have learned much in past incarnations have greater insight, and a person's level of insight is equal to his or her spiritual level. In simple worldly terms, this spiritual level is regarded as insight. It's the ability to understand the feelings and worries of many people and to solve their problems. Without having greater insight, this is hard to do. People have gathered clues of life and have sublimated them into ideas of a higher level, can instantly detect the worries of others and help solve them. The essence of learning is to acquire a higher level of insight. You need the ability to instantly understand that a baby is crying because of a safety pin. He's not asking for milk, he is not sick, it's just a pin pricking him. A horse is not violent by nature, but is simply afraid of its own shadow. However, people mistakenly believe it is an unruly, violent horse. As we confront our own problems in life, we must never stop making a constant effort to acquire greater insight. That is why we need to study a wide variety of subjects. One of the reasons I publish many books is to provide you with as much material as possible to raise your level of insight. By reading the high-level thoughts of great figures, you can easily find solutions to your life's problems. That's why I continue to publish many books to assist you. In seeking wisdom, acquiring and raising the level of our insight is most important. This is our spiritual training in this world. We need to use all that happens and all our knowledge to raise our level of insight. The true nature of high spirits can be simply described as their high levels of insight. I teach that the spirit world is composed of different stages or dimensions. The fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth dimensions. The difference between these dimensions lies not in the status or reputation of the spirits, but in their levels of insight. The higher their position, the more worlds they've seen, people they've understood, and God's will they've grasped. We're born into this world many times and accumulate experiences to gain greater insight. When you face difficult problems or situations, the wisest approach is to discover a new source of insight. You must clearly understand your own tendencies in particular situations. For recurring problems, try to solve them more quickly. Solve it in a day, an hour, a minute, or even a second. Such effort is in fact why human culture develops. If everything resets every time you are born into this world, there wouldn't be a base for culture to be built upon. Culture can be described as an accumulation of human
それを
insight.
さらに次に進んでいこうとする。文化というものもやはり認識の集大成でもあるということを言えると思います。このように
Let me
私は
review the
今
two
二つの
main
ことを言いました。
points.
学ぶという
First,
ことの
as the
基本姿勢
basis of learning, never deceive
自分を騙
yourself.
してはならない。自分
Be
に正直
true
で
to
ある。
yourself
裸
and
となって
continue to explore
悪の
until you are
最後まで
truly
探求せよ。
convinced.
これが第一の姿勢でありました。そして
Second,
第
the
二、
essence of learning is
学び
to
の
acquire a
核心
higher
にある
level
の
of
はよ
insight.
り高次な認識力を得るということにあるのだということであります。この
From
観点
these
から見たと
points,
きに
you'll see
いろ
the
んな
meaning of your
人生
life.
修行の意味が見えてくるはずであります。い
When
ろんな
facing
問題
life's
にあっ
difficulties,
て
you
それ
mustn't
で
be
自分がボロ
discouraged.
ボロになるだけではいけない。そ
You
の
must keep
問題
learning
を
from your
通して
problems to
一つでも
raise your
二つでも
insight.
より高次な認識を得、より新たな視点を得るために、あなた
so
の
that you
人
can
生の
instantly
キーワードに
identify the
影が
pin
どこにあ
or
るかということ
shadow.
を一瞬で見抜くための、そうした教訓として学んでいかねばならないということであります。
Thank you, Lord. Okay, second part was very, very important. Is very important. This is Master told us the purpose of learning, purpose of intellectual study is to acquire higher insight to see the cause of many problems in life. Master cited the example of a baby crying because of the open pin, safety pin, and also the monkey trapped in coconuts, grasping a kind of food, couldn't pull out his or her arm. And also the horse, unruly horse, the Macedonian horse. But actually, the boy who tamed this unruly horse was Alexander the Great. He was the guy who actually tamed the wild horse. Okay, so the importance is acquire higher insight, and that is equivalent to higher spiritual level. So as we acquire higher insight, we can go to higher level of spiritual world. Okay. Okay, this is an example of ostrich and eagle. Ostrich, we don't have ostrich here in Australia. It runs very fast, very, very fast, runs about on the ground. And it knows about the ground very well, very well. It is like intelligence, gathering information. But eagle can see from high places, see everything in a single view. And he or she knew which part is safe or dangerous and which part is kind of, it can catch food. So it's a difference between intelligence and intellect. So that means higher insight. So we should acquire this kind of higher insight detached from the ground. So this is enlightenment. So also the main purpose of reincarnation, eternal reincarnation, we continue reincarnation for many times, 100 times, 1,000 times, even more. Its sole purpose of that is to acquire higher insight, higher awareness. This is the main purpose of the reincarnation. So learning is very, very much important. Then I'd like to introduce you another teaching from Master Ryuho Okawa. It is called the Between Heaven and Hell. It is originally the opening message of monthly Happy Science book. It is not translated in English yet. It is a trial translation. I'm not sure good or something is not good. Okay. Between heaven and earth, what mystical sounding words. Angels with wings fly freely in the sky, and humans standing on two legs seem to be moving about on the earth. But human dignity lies in wisdom. It is wisdom that elevates a human to the level of an angel. Recognition intuition, insight, proof that human is child of Buddha. So humans are walking around on the ground, but if we can acquire wisdom, we come near to angels. We come to angel is a key point. I don't know. The insight or wisdom is a key point that we can elevate ourselves to angels. Okay. Then we come to the last part of Master's lecture.
Having explained the importance of these two basic attitudes, now I'd like to talk about the development of wisdom. The developmental stages of wisdom have never been explained in this manner. In my lecture in May last year, I explained the developmental stages of love. The same can be said of wisdom. Those who have already advanced to higher stages of wisdom can easily understand that there are different stages. But those who haven't can't understand that. To reach the first stage of wisdom, you must collect material to base your thoughts on. As I just mentioned, this is the way to acquire greater insight. To do this, learning many things, including the thoughts of those who are more advanced than you, is of utmost importance. This struggle to attain much knowledge is essential. Those who avoid this stage will only blindly accept the opinions of others. They won't know what to do every time they encounter a problem. But those who aim to establish wisdom in this first stage can use what they have learned from their knowledge and experiences to increase their level of insight. Because of this, they can easily solve most of the ordinary problems in life. And the benefits they gain from this are considerable. They can easily solve problems people usually worry about for years. In the business world, too, many executives make considerable efforts to reach this first stage of wisdom. Top executives can instantly find solutions to the problems their subordinates struggle with. This ability can sometimes be described simply as inspiration. But intellectual effort is required before you start receiving such inspiration. The intellectual effort represents your attitude to keep learning higher knowledge and the confidence that you've absorbed sufficient knowledge. From a religious standpoint, this first stage of wisdom leads to the realization that the spiritual world really exists. I myself experienced this. By repeatedly studying and thinking about the works of various thinkers, I began to receive inspiration more readily. Now I have opened my spiritual channel, but this didn't happen suddenly. Even before I opened my spiritual channel, I had received a lot of inspiration. I can think of two main reasons for this. First was that I constantly pursued something higher. The rule, ask and you shall be given, also holds true for receiving spiritual inspiration. If you keep seeking greater insight, a higher level of enlightenment and judgment. This attitude will invite the response of other power.
感応を得てくるようになるのであります。これが一つであります。もう
The
一つは
second was the purity of my soul.
魂における純粋さ、これであります。すな
As
わ
I
ち
mentioned earlier, you must get rid of your vanity.
申しましたが、単
You
に
can't reach the first stage of wisdom if you see learning merely as a means to an
手段のため
end.
の学問であってはこの第一段階の知の部分をクリアできないんであります。
I assume many of you studied as a
手段のための学問を
means
やっておられた方が多いと思います。
for a better school, a better job, or a promotion.
出世のための学問。
If you seek knowledge simply as a means to an end,
手段としての学問で
you won't be able to get past this first stage of wisdom. Why? Because this attitude casts a shadow on the purity of your soul. The essence of academic study lies in the effort to gain infinite wisdom. Unless you discover this truth, you'll never get beyond the first stage. So you must understand the true meaning of learning as an end, or knowledge as an end. When learning is not a means but an end, when you find the joy of life in learning,
皆さんの魂の磨きが感じられたときに、
and when you feel your soul being refined through
一つ
this,
の段階を投下していくのです。
you will have completed the first stage of wisdom.
終了していきます。これが
This is also the first stage of enlightenment.
悟りというものを求めていく段階においては、第一段階の悟りでもあります。
You will gradually receive inspiration and have peak experiences,
繰り返すようになってきます。
or feel extreme happiness quite often.
皆さん
Among the hundreds of books you read,
何百冊か本を読んでいるうちの一冊二冊、非常に心
you
が
may come across one or two books that touched you or moved you to tears.
味わわれたことがあるでしょう。
Perhaps you've heard an inspiring talk and couldn't stop crying.
感動したことがあるでしょう。これらは
Such instances lead you to experience peak experiences or delights of the soul.
魂の喜びというものを知るということに至るのであります。
This is actually the first stage of
この
wisdom.
段階に至ると、今まで
At this stage, you'll feel a veil being lifted from your
ベー
eyes,
ルを取り去った世界の
allowing you to see the state of the world without it. Before this, you may have thought that
自分を阻害するものだと思ったり、
people are trying to harm you or obstruct your path.
自分の思い通りにいかないものだと思っていた。
But once such ideas dissolve, you'll discover that the world is truly wonderful. As Helen Keller wrote in her book, despite her blindness, the world appeared beautiful to her.
世界が美しく見えるんであります。
Let me give you an example from literature.
皆さんの中には
A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens illustrates a similar transformation.
小さな本を読まれた方も数多くいると思います。非常に
It's a short tale, so many of you may have read it.
方は数多いと思います。
The main character, Scrooge, is a mean old man.
登場させているかというと、スクルージという非常に金儲け市場主義者ですね。意地悪
whose only concern is making money.
人を登場させました。そして
On Christmas Eve, Scrooge meets three ghosts:
そうした生き方をしておったんだけれども、
the ghost of the past, the ghost of the present,
出会うわけであります。
and the ghost of the future.
現在の幽霊、未来の幽霊というのが出てきて、
Each ghost shows him scenes from his life,
あるいは現在
how he was, is, and will be.
そして
First, the ghost of the past shows him how many people have suffered
そしてこの金儲けのために生きた人間が
from his way of life of constantly pursuing money.
その姿を見せられる。
Then the ghost of the present shows him the poor
ク
people
リスマスイブにどんな貧しい人たちがいて、
who are suffering even on Christmas Eve.
その人に見せる。
Finally, the ghost of the future shows him how he'll die sad and unloved.
こういう3体の
After witnessing these scenes, Scrooge begins to repent deeply.
大いなる後悔を始めるわけであります。
He reflects on himself and realizes how wrong he
どれほど
was,
人生を生きてきたか、どれ
how
ほど
many people he has hurt, and how ignorant he's been of others'
わ
pain.
けであります。そして
Then at daybreak, a completely different world unfolds before his
世
eyes.
界観が展開しておったのであります。
He has a truly wonderful Christmas day. Everyone seems remarkable.
人々はすべて素晴らしく見える。
Scrooge, who always had a bitter expression on his face, now has a bright smile. To his surprise, people greeted him with smiles too, and he discovers a new worldview. The same world that seemed ugly before is now beautiful, simply because his mindset changed. Dickens wrote this story with exquisite skill. And from a religious perspective, this is one form of enlightenment. Those who have passed the first stage of wisdom see this world as a wonderful place. But enlightenment at this stage is still fragile. In an isolated and tranquil environment where there is no cause for concern, you can probably maintain a peaceful mind, free of worries. But you can still fall from this state. This state equates to the arhat level of enlightenment. At this level, the soul can still fall, just like iron rusting. In other words, even the feeling of renewal that we all can experience at the moment of conversion doesn't last for long. It tends to become forgotten in our daily routines. You need to find ways to overcome this fragility. And to maintain the fresh feeling of seeing a completely new world. This is a big step toward the second stage of wisdom. Once you have passed the first stage of wisdom, you will also find faults in others easily. You will be able to understand their problems, their concerns, and their weaknesses very clearly. But even at this stage, your understanding hasn't turned into a love that accepts their shortcomings and embraces those people. It means you haven't established unshakable wisdom yet. This is why you lose yourself in daily life, or lack compassion and empathy toward others. Then what efforts are needed to reach the second stage of wisdom? One requirement is to keep making diligent efforts to study and learn. You must constantly make sincere efforts to accumulate knowledge without giving yourself any time limits. Imagine the conifers that never lose their green, even in winter. The leaves of many other trees turn red or yellow and eventually fall. But the leaves of evergreens remain green even in snow. These trees don't stand out in the summer. They stay green and stand out in the winter. It's important for you to stand your ground like these conifers, even with the passage of time. Can you remain fresh and evergreen even as others shed their leaves during winter? That determines victory or defeat. With an approaching exam or an opportunity for promotion, you'll probably be motivated to work hard. When these carrots are dangling before you, you can gallop like a horse. But the challenge is whether you can keep running when the carrots are taken away. The longer you can maintain your enthusiasm, the closer you'll be to becoming a great figure. Observing the lives of great figures,
彼らの一
I'm
番
most impressed by their strong resolve and the spirit of
堅
perseverance.
忍不拔の精神、どのような
Regardless of the
困難があろうと
difficulties they faced or the suffering they endured,
それをどう乗り越えていくか、その間におい
they
て
always tried to overcome them and never gave up. They always made efforts to remain green in the snow.
努力をしているはずであります。ここに
Therefore,
魂が輝きを
their
増してい
souls
く
shone
のである。
brighter.
この部分を
Experiencing difficult times is essential to strengthen the soul in the truest sense.
ここを必ず得る必要があります。
To assess someone's true nature, the best way is to observe the person
その人は得意な時と
in times of triumph and in times of great
その
failure.
人はどういう人であるか分かります。
Some are weak in times of triumph,
自分がこれから
moments before being in the limelight
あるいは人
or
々に
after
認めら
being
れたという瞬間
recognized.
に途
They
端に
become
満足して
satisfied and proud.
胸を張ってしまう人がいます。小
These
説
people won't achieve great
大人
success.
物とは決して言えないんであります。
In
また
contrast, some people give in to despair when faced with failure and complain.
不平不満が出る人
They won't achieve success either.
をしているんであります。
In times of despair, how long can you withstand hardship?
淡々として実力をつけていくことができるか、自分を
Can
磨
you
くことができる
continue
かど
to
うか、
strengthen your
耐える
skills?
期間がどれだけあるかどうか、これが
This
その
is the
人の
measure of your
一つの
capacity.
試験であります。また
When your status suddenly improves, how will you
抜擢された
react?
時にどうなるか。
Someone who grows proud can't be regarded as a great person.
大した方ではないんであります。
The higher your position, the humbler you must become,
もう一度謙虚な姿勢でもっともっと
and the more effort you must
先を
make.
目指していこう。こう
If
い
you
う姿勢
maintain
で
this attitude, you will surely achieve great success.
大成する方であろうと私は思います。この両
Note that
極端な
one's
部
true
分に
nature is
人間性が
revealed
出る
in
という
these
ことを
two extreme
皆さん
sets of
知っていただき
circumstances.
たいと思います。こういうふう
To
に
sum
話
up,
をしましたが、
the second
結局
stage of
この第二段階
wisdom
においてはこの忍耐
is a period of endurance
また
and
こ
of
の間
building
に
true
自信を蓄積していく
self-confidence.
時期でもあるんであります。
The key during this period is to build self-confidence,
そしていろんな
accumulate experiences of success, and broaden your perspective. If you fail to build unshakable wisdom while establishing yourself,
どういうふうな形で現れるかというと、
you will get jealous of others. You will feel jealous when you see someone on the same level as you or someone more competent than you.
活躍している人を見ると非常に心が落ち着かないで嫉妬心が出てきます。こういう嫉妬心
Experiencing
を感
jealousy
じる人は
means you have not yet
この第二
reached
段階に
the second stage of wisdom.
考えていいわけであります。つ
If
まり
you're truly absorbed in endlessly improving yourself,
ということで夢中になっている人は
your mind will not be swayed by the successes or failures of others.
で心を動かされることはないのであります。
Some people feel happy when others fail, or some experience pangs of jealousy when seeing others succeed.
心が嫉妬で焼かれる人もいる。
Their wisdom isn't established as unshakable yet. I have used the word wisdom here, but enlightenment or insight can also be used. They have not firmly established the right way to see others, the world, and themselves. At this stage, you'll be tested to see if you have a big goal. This task can be long, and many are unable to pass in a single lifetime. To have an overwhelming love for others, you must move beyond this stage. If you build unshakable wisdom, you won't be jealous and will radiate gentle light. In the first stage, you might show off your wisdom at times. But in the second stage, you're taking a step toward becoming a great source of love for others. Most people don't usually get past the second stage of wisdom. But I must admit, there are even higher stages of wisdom. In the first and second stages, the development of wisdom is confined to the individual. In the third stage, however, wisdom transcends the individual level. This means a person's wisdom is no longer used for purposes of solving personal, everyday problems,
個人から離れてくる。
such as resolving your concerns, giving advice to those around
自分
you,
の個人的な悩みを解決せんとか、あるいは自分の身近な人をどうこうするとかいうようなこと、
creating peace of mind, or finding a sense of
心
happiness.
の平安や幸せ、幸福感ということのための知ではなくて、より高
At
次
this
なもの
stage,
に
wisdom serves a higher
こ
purpose.
の段階に来るのであります。
This wisdom is not simply a collection of information or
す
skills,
なわち単なる知識や技術と
but
し
is
て
the
の
knowledge that turns into love.
愛へと転化していく姿であります。
As knowledge transforms into love,
すなわち
it
より
becomes established as wisdom to be shared with many.
構築となっていきます。これが
This is when wisdom becomes its own philosophy.
時期であります。
Thinkers who present original ideas to the world through their writings or
講
lectures
演をして人々に自分の思想を問う段階というのは
are often at the third stage of wisdom.
入っている場合が多いわけであります。
To write books that truly move people or leave a lasting
世に
influence,
残るような書物を残すためにはこ
the
の
author must attain the third stage of
必
wisdom.
要があるのであります。その
Here, wisdom is shared with
と
many
いうことは離れて共有化が始まる。多く
to
の人たちの
inspire and
心を奮い
encourage
立た
the
せ
spiritual
彼らを
progress
進化
of
させ
their
る
souls.
霊的に進化させるための知恵と進んでいく。その知
Wisdom
の
also becomes something of extraordinary volume.
認識
This is when a
とか
person's
個人の中で
insight transforms into great wisdom for humankind.
瞬間であります。このため
This
には
transformation requires many spiritual experiences of your own,
体験あるいは
or an encounter with someone who has had such experiences.
神秘体験をしたような人との出会い、あるいは人生の
Or
中
it could
で
also be a
自分の
spiritual
底を
experience
打ち抜くような
of hitting rock bottom but discovering your divine
必
nature.
要があるように思います。
Leading an ordinary life won't take you to this third
第
stage.
三段階まで至れませんが、第三段
Just
階に
before
至る
attaining this
その
stage,
自分の
people begin to see the
個人として思想を見
possibility
つめたこの思想が
of
やがて
using what they have
人々の役に立って
repeatedly contemplated to
多くの人々を
benefit
導くため
and
に
guide
役立て
others.
るんではないかと思える段階、これがあるのです。個人の
The
学び
knowledge
は
you
やが
gain
てこう
turns
した
into a love that serves
姿を変
others.
えていくわけであります。これが
This corresponds to advancing from the sixth dimension
6次元深海という知の世界から
to the seventh dimension, a world of love.
起承となるわけであります。すなわ
Only
ち
when you explore wisdom with a strong desire to serve many
思いを持ち、現にそれが実
and
践
actually
の段階
take
まで来
action,
ておる知の探求は
can you say your wisdom has
まだ
reached the bodhisattva
ここま
level?
で至っていない段階の知はそれ以下であるということであります。この
This level of wisdom is most needed today.
現在において非常に求められていることだと思います。
Although many people have an intellectual lifestyle,
自分の枠の中で生きている。自分
they
の
merely
知的な
enjoy it
ライフスタイル
within
を
their individual
という
framework.
段階に止まっているのが多いのであります。
We
さら
should
に
aim to attain the wisdom of bodhisattva,
この段階まで来なければいけない。
where wisdom produces a harvest
さら
that
に
can be
次の
turned
投
into
資への
investments and
また
more
大きな
fruits in the
収穫を
future.
結ぶこういう段階に来なければいけない。
You mustn't be satisfied with growing and enjoying the fruits for yourself.
自分で食べておる段階だけではいけない。
You need to aim to provide fruits to as many people as possible.
この段階であります。これは目指さなければいけない。
I truly wish that you who are listening to my lecture today
私の話を聞いている皆さんに
will attain the bodhisattva level of wisdom.
この部分、自分が
Make efforts to convey what you learned to others.
伝えていくか、伝え得るか、
Inspire their souls and illuminate their
彼
lives.
らの人生を巧妙化することができるか、この努力であります。
I'd like you to make this your
目
aim.
標とされることが良いのではないかと思います。
But of course, an even higher stage of wisdom exists,
これは如来の段階にお
the
ける
wisdom of Tathagata.
これは
At this stage, a person also knows the treasures of humanity.
人類の秘宝を探り当てるという意味での知であります。この第四
Here,
段階に
wisdom
至っては
becomes fundamental thoughts. For example, the wisdom of Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Confucius, Jesus Christ, or Shakyamuni
イ
Buddha.
スラエルによってはイエスのごとき地、インドによってはシャクソンのごとき地。
By introducing sources of thought, these great figures influenced
時代を変える
the trends of people, eras, cultures, and civilizations. They attained such great wisdom, partly through numerous incarnations and continuous efforts, but they also reached the level of fundamental thoughts
こうした根源的なる知が
that exist beyond the wisdom of bodhisattva.
それが
This is the fundamental nature of guiding spirits,
素質を、性質を
viewed from the perspective of wisdom. Many angels are born into this world to do more than just start religions. They teach the laws to change eras and civilizations, to create a new history of humankind, and to create a new people and new humankind. I myself continue to make efforts to firmly establish the laws, condense them into wisdom, and translate them into universal love that transcends this age, so that they will be left for future generations. I hope that you too will explore wisdom and aim toward this goal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Master Okawa. Okay, the last part was developmental stages of wisdom. We know a developmental stage of love, which is taught in the laws of the sun. Okay, from the fundamental love, it corresponds to the fifth dimension. We should learn deepen our love to the nurturing love, corresponding to the sixth dimension, and then forgiving love is to become bodhisattva of seventh dimension. And then there are higher love, which is love incarnate, which is for the eighth dimensional Tathagata. Very, very difficult and very, very great love. And in the similar vein, we have a developmental stage of developmental stage of the stages of wisdom. Sorry. Okay. First stage is a establishment of basic wisdom. Okay. Master Okawa told us that in order to achieve this level, we need to read at least 1,000 books, more than 1,000 good books. That is at least we must read these kind of things. When we enter this level, we can have many inspiration from heavenly world. Also, we can have a wisdom to solve many problems. And then we feel a joy of a soul, sometimes joy of soul. And world, Master told us the world look a kind of a greater place or beautiful, more beautiful place. And we have Master Okawa's life. Happy science movies depict Master's young days, including these kind of scenes. I pick up one scene that depicts his first stage of this developmental stage of love when he was in the university.
I remember the joy of walking in the summer evening. I loved being engrossed in a book on a warm autumn day. I experienced such happiness repeatedly.
So at this time of his age, he must have read more than 1,000 books, not only for the academic studies, but also religious thing, philosophy and literature, all other things. And he must have reached this kind of level in his 20 or something like that. So, we can, all of us can reach this level at least if we try to do that. All of us can reach this level if we try hard. Okay, you can read 1,000 books in your lifetime, at least. Okay. The second stage, unshakable wisdom. This is the stage when we continuous study of various things, and in this stage we can overcome jealousy, just mind, and then we will establish strong faith, strong confidence in intellectual life. Here is another depiction of Master Ryuho Okawa in his university days.
I understand exactly what you're saying, Professor. But I don't agree with your view on the Cold War. Honestly, I think your view is completely wrong.
Wow. Maybe you are right, Satoru. But it's not wise to challenge a professor in front of the class like that.
But there is no doubt that communism will collapse soon. I just said what I knew to be correct.
Hey, criticizing the professor's gonna hurt your grades, you know.
They say that silence goes further than eloquence.
What?
Too much talking will cost you. I'm talking about you.
Okay, Master attained this level in his university days because he already surpassed the wisdom of the professor. Yeah, he surpassed all the professor in the Tokyo University, which is the highest level in Japan. So he had a kind of very strong confidence in his wisdom. Then comes the third stage, wisdom of service. When we come to this stage, we surpass the personality and wisdom. Our knowledge become the love to other people. And Master Ryuho Okawa himself come to this stage when he was working in the trading company. Okay, I'll show you another depiction of this from the Twice Born movie.
Let's see what we got. The developmental stages of love.
The love I speak of is the kind of love you keep giving to others. Unconditional love. But I believe there are 4 stages of love.
Fundamental love, nurturing love. After that, there's forgiving love. And finally, you will reach love incarnate. This is my theory of the developmental stages of love.
Don't read it out so loud.
No one has ever written about love before, especially not in the company newsletter. Actually, I don't think there's anyone like you at our company or any other company in the world.
Are you giving me a compliment?
Yes, of course. Hey, according to this, love between a man and a woman is part of fundamental love. So does that mean it's just the first stage of love?
That's right. Romantic love or neighborly love is the most basic stage. It's the easiest for everyone to practice.
The most basic stage.
Then there's nurturing love. It guides people to a better place. Forgiving love teaches you to forgive your enemies. When one reaches love incarnate, your very existence becomes the spirit of the age, the highest form of love in the developmental stages.
Okay. I guess that for you, romantic love is a very low level of love.
Sorry, that's not true.
It's not true?
Well, I mean, the time that we get to spend together is important. At least to me it is.
Okay, so Master Ryuho Okawa wrote this essay while he was working in the trading company. But this is a very, very original theory. Only Master Ryuho Okawa created, and it became a core teaching of happy science. So I told it is a third stage, but actually come to the fourth stage. It became the fundamental thought of the humanity. It developed into the fundamental thought of the humanity. So as in the laws of the sun. Okay. So as for these 4 stages, it is impossible for us to come to the fourth stage, but we should aim to come to the third stage. Until then, okay, but at least we should aim for the first stage. It is very, very important. Okay. Okay. Aside from this thing, Master Ryuho Okawa once talked in front of the Tokyo University students in the university festival. he talked to the students, thousands of students, not like beside of the Happy Science members. And in that lecture, Master encouraged them to read more than 1,000 books. Read more than 1,000 good books. And in their life, in their 20s or 30s, I don't know, but they should study more than 1,000 books. This is a threshold that they can into the speech, intellectual life, intellectual person. And if you enter this stage, you can discern the rise of the mass media or falsehood of mass media. So it is a kind of a very important threshold we should pass. And later, Master Oka told one encouraging thing that in Happy Science, Master Oka's book is kind of full of wisdom. So it contains a kind of condensed wisdom. So the 100 master's book, like Law series, kind of a theoretical book, 100 book is almost equivalent to 10,000 usual books. So if you thoroughly study master's 100 books, or Master Ryoka's 100 books, repeatedly, we can acquire a kind of very much knowledge that might be equivalent to 10,000 books. So we can acquire everything just once through reading, but if you repeatedly reading master teaching, we can acquire deep wisdom like that. It's very encouraging to us. Please, let's do that. Okay, this is the end of today's Sunday service. Next week, I will talk about master teaching on prosperous life. This is the next week's theme. Okay, thank you all for joining and listening and watching master teaching and my lecture. Thank you very much for joining.